Danny. He is a violent elder abuser, a threat to seniors, a danger in the community. For years, the reports piled up. He attacked an old woman with a gun. Another time, 4 men had to pull him off her. Police say his own mother, armed, broke into apartments with a crowbar. Police and courts powerless. He was never charged, never convicted. But he walks free, a murderer. They say he murdered Chris, only 39 years old, his mother's only child, leaving her in a wheelchair, alone. He has HIV, and you know what that means. He rapes men to give them HIV. Men falling out of his apartment, claiming they were raped. No police even responded to help them. They say he threatened neighbors, screamed in the backyard, smashed his head into buildings, terrorized his community. He's never been put in jail. No one could stop him. He kept moving, California to Kentucky. He found new housing, the Ivy Apartments. Together, he and his mother, a woman in her 80s, were called a menace. She, a threat on her walker. He, the violent son. A trail of fear from state to state. They even tried to evict him 8 times, and he kept getting away with it, despite all the allegations. Finally, in Louisville, 2 judges in Jefferson County knew they had to act. This man and his mother were harassing the courts with fake filings and fake federal notices of no trespassing on her son's apartment. They refused her filings, knowing it was illegal. The landlord's lawyers stopped accepting his rent payments and filed for eviction, claiming non-payment. The judge issued the order when Danny tried to fake his way out, appearing from a hospital bed, claiming a stroke, knowing the court had no jurisdiction. But this duo of terror needed to be stopped. Federal judges and even the Supreme Court aligned themselves with the false eviction. Court clerks refused to file their endless harassing documents. They did it for your protection. Calls were made to 911, claiming they were armed and threatening.
Okay, but the mother's in here right now, supposedly?
Yeah.
He's the one that people claim rapes people in the apartment.
Oh.
Yeah, HIV and all that. So.
Oh.
Police responded for a snatch and grab eviction before they could pack a single item.
I told them that if you would have sat there and coordinated them beforehand,
Correct.
before I got here,
And no threats to our lives.
but they want you all properly based off
You're
that.
leaving.
So I had a
It's
problem.
based off of other stuff too.
Right.
He's wanted in San Francisco for a murder. You know, there's this whole backstory. You know, men falling out of his apartment, claiming he raped them.
I heard a little bit about it.
So this is not a normal situation. Okay.
And then once 30 hits, I'm going back upstairs. And if I have any complications, I just ask Chandler to open the door so I go in and snatch and grab people.
Danny's mother was trespassed. So was a senior friend, another so-called pacifist. The sheriff's office, heroes, went in without an order. They took all of Danny's belongings, smashed what they could, and left the rest in the street for anyone to take. And still, this murdering rapist with HIV walks free. All of these heroes work to stop the reign of terror, and yet, no arrest. The people of Louisville are still endangered by this criminal. HRC and the Fairness Campaign did what they could to slow him down, and still, no criminal charges. It is up to you, citizens of Louisville, to protect yourselves from these 2 menaces. How do they get away with it? They have clever disguises. His mother still attends church and her Moms Against Guns meetings. And Dr. Danny, still recovering, blinded in one eye by the landlord, still uncharged in the murder of his partner, and somehow still talking about random acts of kindness and healing touch for the disabled. How does this happen? How can someone like this go undetected for so long? But who is this man, really? Let's look closer. Raised in Louisville, taught volunteerism by his mother, working in homeless shelters, helping children dying of AIDS at Paul Newman's camp, medical volunteerism in Jamaica, HIV screenings for people with nothing, training at University of Cincinnati, Charleston's VA, Medical University of South Carolina, postdoctoral work at Cornell, teaching at Rutgers, research awards, president of national associations, a whistleblower, recovering millions for HIV and AIDS patients, a business built on random acts of kindness, a vegan, a pacifist, no criminal record but a speeding ticket, a life built on service. So how could this man with this record be the monster described at the start? Was it drugs? Was it pressure? Or was it something else? No charges, no convictions. Still, the accusations kept piling up. No one ever called the police. No one ever filed a police report. No one ever went to a hospital. No one ever produced video evidence. No one ever produced photo evidence. No one ever brought a witness outside of family. No criminal history whatsoever. No possession of drugs. No possession of alcohol. No misbehavior in public. Nothing. Funny thing is, despite all that, almost everyone believes the narrative. Why? Anyone can look up a criminal record and see that none of this is true. Anyone with a brain can see if there are no 911 calls, no police reports, no witnesses, then the story can't be real. But the slander was believed by the courts, by law enforcement, by landlords, by doctors, even by watchdog organizations, the Office of Civil Rights, the Department of Health and Human Services, HUD, the Human Relations Commission of Louisville, the Fairness Campaign. All of them, when asked for help, instead turned against him, harming the very person they were supposed to protect, simply because of slander. This video includes disturbing body cam footage of what happens when lies are believed without any proof, when people are mocked and ridiculed, not by strangers, but by the agencies and advocates who are supposed to keep us safe from abuse. These are the people entrusted to protect us. But when slander is all it takes, anyone can become the monster.
Even after all the evidence, even after my partner was murdered, I was nearly murdered 3 times, blinded in my eye, even after the California courts found the landlord's accusations to be false, even after it was proven to be slander in 2020, she's been allowed to repeat those same lies in court and to medical professionals and to anyone who will listen. 4 different times she reported me as violent, and yet she never filed a restraining order. She never even tried to evict me for another 2 years because none of it happened. And somehow, because an older woman says it, her word is believed. While me, a gay man who spent his life serving others as a doctor, is disbelieved and destroyed. What happened to me is what happens when prejudice, slander, and institutional failure collide. Because these are all lies. And the system wanted to believe an older woman instead of believing that they were lies. Why? Because of who I am. I'm a gay, disabled man living with HIV who stood up for my rights. And I wouldn't be silent. Now, in the rest of this film, you're going to see real evidence. Body cam recordings, affidavits, public records, emails, orders from judges, actions of law enforcement. The true story of how slander and bias, left unchallenged, can destroy a life. Especially when the courts and the watchdog agencies and the criminal justice agencies act as complicit partners in hate crimes. And that's right, these are hate crimes. Hate crimes are crimes that are based on discrimination alone. And on someone's race, their gender, their sexual orientation, or their disability, their age. And in this video, you'll see members of the Louisville Human Rights Commission who fail to investigate slander, who instead choose to believe it and ratify it, that their behavior is directly related to the very discrimination they're supposed to protect against. They help to block the release of body cam footage by denying assistance with it. And then it turns out on the body cam footage, the Human Rights Commission officials actually are a part of that footage, describing and mocking me and my mother while I was sick in the hospital with a stroke, allowing the sheriff's office to come in without a valid order of eviction, to take all of my belongings and destroy them, all while the people I asked for help sat there and ridiculed and mocked me and said that I even faked a hospitalization where I was hospitalized from a stroke. It doesn't get worse than this. I've called for the resignation of these officers at the Human Rights Commission, and they have failed to respond. They failed to resign, and they need to be terminated and held accountable. They knew full well this was an act of hate crime, and they allowed themselves to become participants in it, not just witnesses. That and the judges who mocked the judges who behaved knowing that they were outside of their jurisdiction and filing false eviction orders anyway, and other judges who are in the jurisdiction who allowed their clerks to mishandle information, to the lawyers involved for the apartment complex that told lies in court, told lies in their documents. These are the real criminals, initially helpful, and then later succumbed to the same denial and slander claims against me. The Fairness Campaign just chose not to respond. And when they did, they said it would be an exception, that they don't do things like this to help people in my situation. That is to say, a gay man living in Louisville, Kentucky, who has his home and all of his belongings taken, while the courts and law enforcement ridicule and harass him and his family. And the Fairness Campaign can't even help with that. If you're funding these agencies, please stop. Demand change and no longer support them until they do. It is a disgrace. It is a harm to people in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm not the only one. I cannot be the only one. When I sat in eviction court, I watched as 12 different attorneys or 12 different landlords who all had representation went against tenants, none of whom had representation, with a judge over that court who sat there for 20 years, who was very happy to rule outside of her jurisdiction, laugh at the tenants, laugh at me in a hospital bed, and make fun of the fact that I was sick. Make fun of the fact that my mother had filed documents in that court that she ignored. All while having special off-the-record conversations with the lawyers completely inappropriately. These judges and clerks have lost their immunity because they behaved outside of their jurisdiction, and the misconduct is that egregious. I need their resignations as well. And the city of Louisville should demand that they are terminated immediately and held accountable for the criminal activity, the hate crime, their participation in a hate crime that comes with mandatory jail sentences with no possibility of parole. These hate crime laws are put there with extreme penalties so that it deters this type of activity. The fact that no one ever gets charged with them is the reason that they are mocked. Hate crime laws are mocked by law enforcement officials and court officials. It's about time we held someone accountable for these things so that they don't happen in the future, that they cause judges and law enforcement and lawyers to pause before partaking in slander and discrimination. And that needs to happen today. Please be a part of it. Demand their resignation. Withdraw your funding from these agencies and demand a change. Louisville deserves better. California deserves better. And the United States deserves better.